Split focus. I really enjoyed this. I thought this was so interesting. I loved that you kind of had three separate things going on. You had the actual the shapes that she was making with her own body, which I thought were really really fascinating and intricate. And it always amazes me when people can move their bodies in ways that I could never fathom moving mine. And then you also had the lighting, which I thought was really interesting and definitely played a huge role in this kind of film and this kind of dance. And then you had the projections that were being layered in with everything else, which again adds another kind of level to this and adds another layer to it. And I think all three of them worked so well together. It felt like even though she was performing like as the solo person on the screen, it felt like there was so much interplay between like the projections and her body shapes and the lighting, and everything just felt so kind of like a dance where you would have a partner, and that even though that wasn't her situation and wasn't what was happening. So I thought it was really really cool. I loved how it was kind of styled together. Like it was kind of very interactive and playful in that sense between her and the projections and the lighting, and that there was this very kind of an interdynamic, even though there wasn't anybody else there.
This piece, Split Focus, is really cool. It plays with movement and shadows, and the woman moving does some really cool work with the shadows and creating different images. I particularly love the colorful moments at the end and how the two colors that they cast on her created and on the wall created almost two shadows at the same time, which creates a whole different image and looks twice as impressive. And at some moments really looks like two people dancing together, which I think is really a beautiful display of movement and light, and a really creative way to combine these two things to create a really gorgeous art piece.
Split focus has this giant metaphor and visualization of the owl itself. It is an observer, it is full of wisdom. And here we get to see our dancer human at play and essentially metamorphosis into an owl themselves. They use the form of using a projector and shadow work and being able to use lights and shadows in the way they move your body in order to mimic the animal itself. And it's quite a trippy experience. It's definitely hitting the mark for the experimental genre. There were times where I was like, man, the way that you can think to move your body like that in order to mimic and look like an owl itself is very creative. And you can really tell that they really explored and had this moment in front of the light and being able to play with the shadows and the way that you move your body in order to create that. It's another layered element to the piece. What's being screened on her is an art of itself and is thought out about. We have these moments of like double exposure where there's bilateral lighting that's happening, and then she's moving, and then the screen is also moving as like its own person, and it's just a really nice trippy experience